All right, welcome to Laguna's Musings. If you've missed the previous installments of the show, that's okay. There have been none. You have missed nothing. This is the first one. So, this is going to be kind of a free-form thing where I talk about things that aren't necessarily music-related, just things that interest me and hopefully interest you. And through this process, hopefully I can learn more about you guys, you can learn more about me, we can share some stuff and maybe grow together with some cool conversation. So today I want to talk about early impactful albums. So I'm going to pose some questions, I'm going to answer them, and I'd like you guys to throw your answers in the comments. I'm interested to hear what you guys are into and maybe get some recommendations for some good tunes from you guys, and hear some interesting stories about, your early impactful albums. So I chose British Steel by Judas Priest. If you can see, I'm wearing my Judas Priest British Steel shirt right now. If you're not familiar with Judas Priest, they are a British heavy metal band, and one of the people, claim that they created heavy metal. I don't know if that's true, but they're definitely one of the early heavy metal bands, and they rock. So we're going to specifically be talking about British Steel, which was released April 14th, 1980. It just celebrated the 40th anniversary, so it's kind of great timing that we're doing this. It's their 6th studio album, and this is really the album that elevated them in America, kind of made them a stadium-level band, really boosted them in America, because before this album, they weren't really that famous here. So, let's talk about the album. So the album is obviously British Steel, and its impact on me is large. It's a large impact. It's still impacting me today, because when I first got it, it was a gift from my grandparents. My grandparents were so fucking cool. I'd sent, we were lucky when we were kids. We'd send them a list of things we wanted, and oftentimes they would hook it up with what we asked for. So one year, after listening to some Judas Priest that somebody had on like a mix CD that was given to me, I really got into it, and I wanted to get some of their albums, so I asked my grandparents, and I also asked them for an MP3 player. They sent me some Judas Priest CDs and a CD player that said MP3 player on it. So it wasn't an MP3 player like I had imagined, but nonetheless, they hooked it up and I could play the albums which they had sent me. So among the albums that they sent me was British Steel. And it's, of course, a lot of people consider it one of Priest's classic albums, and it is. So, back in the day, I didn't have a stereo. I just had my old Princeton Chorus Fender guitar amplifier. So what I would do was I would run the CD player into the amplifier, and I'd try to kind of tune the treble and mids or whatever to get it to sound halfway decent, take the reverb off, and I would jam my Judas Priest through that. And that's really how I first heard the album, and a lot of the music I was listening to at that point in my life was listened to like that. Pardon me. So, to get to the impact. So, the lyrics and the lyrical style of it has had a major impact on me. It's kind of famously documented that Rob Halford would make up words to fit, the syllabic inflection he needed for the song to fit. So, in one of the songs, Rapid Fire, he uses the word desolizating instead of desolation or desolating, because it just fit the scheme better. So that kind of thing had a big impact on me, and one of my early songs that I wrote, I actually used a similar word breakdown like that. Desolization, of course, because I had to use nearly the exact same word as Rob Halford, because that's how influenced I was by Judas Priest early on. That's a song I don't play. It's a song that really didn't stand the test of time. A song called Atomic Flood. But anyway, moving on. So yeah, that was a big impact on me, and also the guitars, of course. I mean, if you listen to Judas Priest, if you're any kind of metal fan, you're aware of Glenn and KK's dual guitar and how much they really pioneered that. The passing back of solos, and they both just fucking rip it, and it's incredible. And Rapid Fire, track I was talking about, is a great example of that because there's some great back and forth solos in that song. So the guitar styles, the lyrical style, the overall epicness of a lot of the songs really impacted me in my early songwritings. I would say Stroke of Midnight, I mean, I can't say it's directly influenced by British Steel particularly, but it definitely, British Steel sowed the seeds that led to me writing songs like that. So it's responsible indirectly. And it's a major album. It's got great tracks on it. The tracks I listened to a lot when I was younger are the ones I tend not to listen to as much now. Like back then it was all about breaking the law and, you know, what else was my favorites back then? I mean, Living After Midnight. I liked a lot of the hits on there. But now when I go back and listen to it, it's like Rapid Fire, and Metal Gods is a hit, but I listen to it way more now and enjoy that one way more now. Steeler. There's a lot of great songs that I listen to now that I didn't really listen to then. So that's kind of brings me into the next question. Yeah, and it has significantly, like I just said, I used to listen to Breaking the Law a lot. Now I listen to different tracks. And I just have a different appreciation for it now that I've kind of grown as a person and as a musician. And I realize a lot of different things. I was just listening to it earlier today. We were driving out to the rocks where we like to hike. And I'm listening to the album and I'm hearing things that I've never heard before. And that's weird. You know, I knew I was going to record this video today, so I was like, well, I'll listen to it, kind of keep it fresh in my head. But I didn't really expect to find something so new. And what I really noticed is how theatrical the album is. In Rapid Fire, there's some very theatrical lyrics. And Rob Halford even talks about it himself in the British Steel Behind the Music, or Behind the Album documentary, you know. Bring down the curtain on greed. It's very theatrical. And also, the song Metal Gods, one of the lyrics is reaped by robot scythes. And then you hear the scythe swinging through the air. And of course, I always heard that. But today I really realized that throughout the album, there's a lot of very theatrical moments like that. They really tried to make it a visual album. It's not a concept album by any means, but they really tried to make it visual, like Breaking the Law. Right into the break, you hear the bottle smash and then the police sirens, and it really paints a vivid picture in your head. So my taste for it has changed in the sense that I appreciate it in a different way than I did when I was, 14. Just being like, yeah, fucking metal, woo, rockin'. Now I kind of appreciate it in a different way, but it's still, metal, woo, rockin'. So that won't change. The next question I have is, now I think this is an important question because we all know how much artists can change over time and how much our taste in them can change and how much we can change. And the answer is yes and no, because I still actively follow Judas Priest on social media, but I have not bought Firepower, their latest album. Excuse me. Their album, prior to Firepower, which is their latest album, they released an album called Redeemer of Souls, which I purchased, and it was the first album since I had been listening to the band, and actually since ever, to not feature KK Downing playing guitar. And I was really weirded out by that idea, and I listened to the album and I just didn't dig it. And I can't say if that's because KK is not on it, but it just didn't do anything for me. And an interesting thing about that this is just kind of an interesting segue here. When I read KK Downing's book, he was talking about how he didn't really like to do the pretty ballads and stuff. He wanted to just keep it fucking metal. And, Glenn and Rob were kind of the more ballady guys. I like ballads. I have no problem with them. I think every heavy metal album could do with a ballad on it just to change it up a bit. Maybe not every heavy metal album, but, the Judas Priest's vein of metal is not going to hurt the album to have a ballad on it. And interestingly enough, the album that KK's not on, the first album KK's not on, has no ballads on it. And that's really what I was looking for. I was listening to the album. I haven't listened to it in a long time, so maybe I'll just listen to it again and give it another shot. I listened to it, I think, one time through, and then I just really wasn't sold. But the whole time I was listening, I'm like, oh, well, a pretty song could save this album for me. A ballad could save this. Next song, no ballad, no ballad. There's not a ballad on there. So, while I do follow them actively online, keep up with what they're doing, I'm not buying their current album, and I don't plan on going to see them when they tour again, because for me, it's not the same band. Glenn Tipton, the guitar player, has Parkinson's. He's not able to play with the band like he used to, which is really sad and unfortunate because he was always my favorite member. KK, of course, left in 2011. So now it's like Rob, Ian, Scott Travis, Richie Faulkner, and then I forgot the name of the guy who's playing guitar. But to me, it's not the same band. It's not Judas Priest. I was lucky enough to see them on the 30th anniversary of British Steel, and I saw them also before that when it was KK, Glenn, the lineup that I'm used to, the lineup that it's been since Painkiller, which was 91. So I don't really follow them in the sense that I buy their albums and I would go see them. So there's that. My final question, recommend the album. Yes, I would recommend the album to anybody who enjoys heavy metal, who enjoys good guitar work, who enjoys fun lyrics and epic scope and just having a good time. The album's got a little bit of everything. It's got the track United, which is kind of a great, stand together, brothers in metal, brothers and sisters in metal, Rapid Fire, which is just a fucking balls to the wall, in your face fucking metal song with rapid fire. I mean, the name really suits it. Of course, the radio hits, Breaking the Law, Living After Midnight. Living After Midnight, great party song, If you got like a party crowd, throw on Living After Midnight. They would probably get into it. Breaking the Law, of course, classic song. I mean, if you're going to introduce people to Judas Priest who aren't usually familiar with Judas Priest, you usually ask them, oh, have you heard Breaking the Law? Or have you heard You Got Another Thing Coming, which is on a different album. But those are the songs. Oh, have you heard Living After Midnight? So two of those songs are off of British Steel. Those are the two songs that people might know off this album. So I'd recommend it to anybody who could enjoy some good music and, likes a little bit of 80s flair. So if you're into that sort of thing and you haven't heard British Steel, go back, check it out, give it a listen. And interestingly enough, I just found this out recently. The original track listing, the order, is different than from what I've been listening to in my whole time listening to the album. Originally, it was released with Breaking the Law as the first track because it was such a big single, I believe. That's just speculation, which I think it makes perfect sense. And Rapid Fire was the second track. But for me, I've always heard the album opening with Rapid Fire, which I think is a better way to open the album because it just fucking goes boom right into Rapid Fire. And it's just like, they didn't even tell you to fucking buckle up, or there was no warning signs. There was no red light flashing. It was just like, boom, we're fucking going, man. Full speed ahead. Welcome to British Steel. And I don't have the track listing in front of me right now, but I believe the final track on the album is, I want to say Stealer. Let me check real quick. I think it's Stealer. But I was saying, yeah, Stealer. I was thinking after listening to the album that maybe ending it with Stealer was a mistake because United, I think, would be a great way to end the album. Granted, Stealer's fast and it's upbeat and it's fucking rocking, but I think United would be a cool way to end the album because it's just like, we're together no matter what, as long as we're fucking united. Brothers and sisters of metal. I think that'd been a really cool way to end the album, but obviously that's just my take on it. They obviously did it their own way for their own reasons, but it's still a great album. I don't think that would make it any better or worse. That's just my little idea. But so I want to kind of hear back from you guys. I want to hear what you guys think. What's the early impactful album for you? And I would like, if you feel inclined, throw me an answer to all these questions. So again, it was like, what is the album? What was its impact on you? Has your taste for the album changed? You know, you can elaborate on that if you'd like. Do you still follow the artist, and is it still an album you'd recommend? If you want to answer or throw anything from those 5 questions in the comments, or just comment in general, do so, because I'd like to have a back and forth. I'd like to learn what you guys are into. Maybe you can introduce me to some music that I'm not listening to, and help me grow and get some fucking sweet tunes in my repertoire to jam out to. So, thanks for watching. This is Laguna's Musings. I'm going to be doing a few more of these. I'm enjoying this kind of free form, talking to you guys about shit that I think's cool when I don't have a new riff to show you or a new recording or whatever. I just enjoy talking to you guys about interesting shit. If you like it, and let me know what you think. We'll see you guys next time. Laguna out!